I have been married to my husband for 10 years now.
We have been living happily with our third-grade daughter.
However, 2 years ago, my husband quit his job, and our happy life quickly changed. It has been 2 years since my husband told me he would start working immediately at a place that pays more than his old job. I was so fed up living on a tight budget with my husband who would not start working, and my husband got very upset with me.
All you do is housework and take care of our daughter, so you need to work. If you don't want to, then...
After he said this, he then sent me divorce papers. I met my husband through a mutual hobby as he taught me what I couldn't do.
I was attracted to his dependable personality, and we started dating. We got married and had a daughter 2 years later. Marriage and childbirth took us away from our common interests, but I could still count on my husband in life.
This is what he said when I thanked him for it. This happy life is all thanks to me.
That soon became his catchphrase.
Once I noticed him saying it a lot, I started to feel uneasy. But he was someone I could rely on, and he was making enough money so that I could be a housewife after we got married, so I sucked it up. 2 years ago, my husband suddenly quit his job, and I had no reason to listen to his catchphrase anymore. It was a normal weekday, and I was waiting with my daughter for my husband to come home. He came home a little later than usual in a strangely good mood.
Hey, I quit my job.
He said that, and at first, I didn't know what he was talking about.
I didn't know why he was in a good mood. Maybe he had been drinking. It seemed like he was opening up.
I've had a shitty boss for a while now, and he called me a gleefully useless and unreliable. Just because I made a small mistake, I've been working more than the others around me, and that's how we've been able to stay afloat.
I finally snapped and told my boss that we can end this argument because I'm quitting. I was surprised to think there was someone who would say stuff like that about him.
My husband had a really relieved look on his face.
Because he was so heated, I tried to persuade him to calm down and think things over. My daughter is still very young, and it wouldn't be good for our income to disappear, so I wanted him to reconsider.
It must be nice that all you have to think about is housework and childcare.
I'm the one working hard, and all you can do is think about money.
What I do isn't easy, so don't make it sound like it is.
And I was in such a good mood.
Think about your husband's struggles for once.
He thought that anything goes as long as I asked him how his days go or something.
It's not that I didn't feel like he was working hard, but I was very anxious and surprised that he quit his job without asking me. I couldn't forgive his attitude.
It feels so good to have quit.
It really did sound like he quit on a whim.
So on a later date, there was a proposal from his boss to discuss the matter. Upon hearing this, I told my husband to reconsider quitting.
See, I knew they needed me. I'll join a bigger company, so they'll regret complaining about me in the first place.
He said this as he ignored my pleas, and he really ended up quitting his job. In the beginning, we had savings to live off of. So I thought we could get by as long as he got a new job quickly after.
I'll find a new job quickly and give us a better life.
My husband has been saying he'll get a new job.
I'll find a better company to work at.
He's been saying this for 2 years now.
We've been able to get by with our savings, and I even suggested that I get a job. But my husband keeps saying it's fine, I'll find a job soon, and would not listen to me. When he's searching for jobs, he sits on the couch with his phone and says, "This place is too far," or "I don't meet the requirements." It sounds to me like he's not even trying, and now it just seems like he's pretending to look for jobs. I'm tired of his attitude and our frugal lifestyle. I tried to talk to him seriously about me getting a job because we really need to do something about this. Hey, our finances are looking really bad. Doesn't matter where, but can you just get a job?
Then why don't you get a job? All you do is housework.
Being a housewife is a job in itself.
We're getting really low on our savings. I was getting nowhere with my husband even after speaking calmly and honestly to him, and it seemed like calling housewife a job seemed to irritate him.
Is that work harder than my job? All you do is cook and clean.
Why don't you just get a job? Back then, you would appreciate me for everything I did. Once you started living off my income, you thought you were so amazing for taking care of the house, huh? But we're still living fine without me working. Who do you think made the savings that we live off of now?
It's true that we're living off your savings, but it's running out.
It's not like you're trying that hard to save money, though.
You're buying snacks and clothes like normal. Put that money towards our living expenses instead. I worked long and hard to earn that money. Why don't you try working for a change? Though I think it's impossible.
He makes no sense.
He must think it's so easy since he's not the one saving money or doing housework. If he wants me to work and provide for the family, then he needs to help with the housework too. Anyway, stop sitting on the couch all day. Please either get a job or do some housework.
Huh? Why am I stuck doing housework?
You can manage both if you work harder. Making excuses like you're not confident enough to find a job? You really can't do anything without me, can you? Thanks to me, you can't get out of that mindset.
He must have gone crazy after I kept praising him for all these years.
It's normal for a couple to rely on each other, even if it's just a little bit at the start. Please help me out here. It's hard for me to look for a job with all these responsibilities. I tried to reason with him, but my husband is a stubborn man. I kept begging, and his tone of voice gradually became rougher and rougher.
I didn't know you were so cocky.
If you don't want to support your husband, then I'll consider divorcing you.
I don't know when he prepared them, but my husband brought out divorce papers.
I was stunned. Why would he go that far? I couldn't respond to him after realizing that he must have been thinking about divorce for a long time. When I stopped responding, my husband had this look of triumph on his face.
Well, if you change your mind, I don't mind not divorcing you. Think long and hard.
I don't mind not divorcing you. Think long and hard.
And then he left the room. If my husband continues to act this way, he will probably never work a day in his life again.
Putting the possibility of divorce aside, maybe things would change if I pretend to accept his divorce suggestion. I'll talk to him about it tonight. I can't live with you if you don't help me, so I'm going to move to my parents' house so they can help me while I work. Let's get a divorce. At first, he ignored me, but once he heard divorce, his demeanor completely changed.
Do you seriously think you could get a job?
It's not whether I can or not. I can't keep living like this.
But even if you say divorce, you always say that you need me.
That's not the point. I need help and support, not just financial stability.
His voice was an octave higher, and I've never heard his voice shake like this before.
But you and our daughter can't do anything without me.
I won't be able to change the light bulb for you anymore. It's amazing how his trump card for avoiding divorce was a light bulb. He was looking desperate saying that. He won't be able to do certain things for me anymore. As I watched my husband repeat these things over and over, I was getting more and more determined that divorce might be a good idea. He never even said he was going to work, so I'm ready to go ahead with the divorce.
The next day, I asked my husband again how much he really wants to work.
Even if he makes less money than he used to, we could both work together and get by. To do that, I told him I wanted to split up the housework. I thought about the time he handed me the divorce papers and told him properly. My husband was already feeling down because of what happened yesterday, but he began to mumble.
It's not that I don't want to work. It's just hard to find a job that meets the conditions I'm looking for.
I should be able to get a good job with my background.
I'm not gonna work for a worthless company.
I worked hard at my previous job and had a decent position.
I was surprised that he was still saying things like that at this point.
I can't focus on my husband's hopes and dreams anymore. If you could direct even a little bit of that motivation towards housework, I'll try my best working part-time or something, so please think about it. I tried to approach him in a way that would make me feel satisfied if we divorced, but it's a waste to use my abilities on housework.
We just have to fix your incompetence.
I'll teach you how work while doing housework and taking care of our child. By that time, I should be able to find a job.
We've been saying the same things over and over, and we're not making any progress.
And a lot of time has passed. Our daughter came home from school without us resolving anything. Our daughter must have sensed something was going on because she came back to talk to me instead of going to her room.
Mom, you're scaring me these days.
When I heard that,
When I heard that, I felt so sorry for my daughter. Our daughter is in 3rd grade and is at an age where she can understand things to an extent. She knows about my husband. Until recently, we had been a happy, close family. She hasn't seen us fighting, but she's heard my husband make joking remarks like, "Your mom does all the housework. She's working so hard." And my daughter doesn't know how to respond. My husband seems to think he can somehow get her on his side. When my daughter came to talk to us, my husband immediately started talking to her as if this were the perfect opportunity.
Welcome home, sweetie. Mom and Dad might have to start living in separate places from now on.
What?
Your mom said that she doesn't want to cook or clean anymore.
If we start living apart, I won't be able to play with you or teach you things anymore. That'll be sad, right?
Just a little while ago, he was saying unreasonable things in a condescending attitude.
The sudden change in tone was unpleasant. I swallowed my frustration because I felt that everything was my fault. And I couldn't argue in front of our daughter.
Sweetie, sit down here. Dad was just trying to tell your mom to try a little harder at cooking and cleaning.
You'd be sad if I suddenly left, right? Let's tell Mom to work harder.
It's disgusting how you're using our daughter like this.
I protested when I saw my husband make our daughter sit next to him. It's wrong to involve our daughter like this. Let's come to a conclusion properly as a couple.
But our daughter will be so sad.
My husband was only paying attention to our daughter now, and the cycle began again.
But then our daughter looked straight at my husband and said, "I'll live with Mom."
What?
I'll be sad to leave Mom, but I don't care about you.
My daughter spoke well. I was shocked at her words, but my husband was even more surprised.
He seemed to be at a loss for words, just speechless with his mouth wide open.
What? What do you mean?
Mom makes food, I do homework, and you never do anything. I don't care if you're not around.
It seems like my daughter already began to dislike her father before our argument began. Maybe she's also in her rebellious phase. She may just want to rebel against her dad. Her father, who had never played with her or helped her with her homework, didn't seem to notice.
It's not like you play with me or help me study. You've never even taken me to the park.
My husband, who used to say mean things to me ever since she was in kindergarten, could not respond to my daughter. He just left his mouth wide open, but it slowly started to close.
But if I wasn't here...
I don't care if someone like you who just sits around on his phone all day isn't around.
Don't say that.
I was honestly saved by my daughter's words.
Her words really affected my husband, and he just started to look down at the floor and say nothing. I should thank her.
I realized I need to do better as well.
In the end, my husband stopped talking, and he just kept nodding during our divorce process. Once we got most of that settled, he said this, "Are you really sure about this? I won't be here anymore."
He sounded desperate, but our daughter's words had already made an impact.
But our daughter's disgusted voice made him speak softly. That's when he started speaking again.
I'm sorry, sweetie. Dad will start working again.
You might not understand now, but there will definitely come a time when you think it would have been better if I was around. Our daughter had never seen my husband speak in such a pitiful voice, and he came over to sit next to me, took my arm, and tried to apologize.
I'm sorry.
For a moment I felt sorry for him, but my feelings had already solidified after the events from the past few days.
Just cut it out already. I've tried to talk to you many times before, but you never took me seriously. You did this.
Shut up.
You got our daughter on your side when I was looking for a job. Even if you apologize and try to come back to me after our divorce, I won't take you back.
Don't worry, I'll never come back to you.
Tired of my husband's words and just going along with whatever he said. Sensing the tension, my daughter spoke up.
Let's have dinner. I'm hungry.
Sweetie, this talk is more important than dinner.
Please, let's talk about this more seriously.
You say that, but you're on your phone during our important conversations.
What?
When my daughter comes home from school, she would often sit on the couch and talk to her father about school and what she wants to buy with her limited allowance.
They are important topics to her, but my husband would just often keep his eye on his phone and give only short responses back to her.
Well, that's because I'm busy looking for a job.
We've heard that excuse too many times. Besides, our daughter made up her mind already.
You're always playing games on your phone.
That's what I thought.
playing games and lying about job hunting.
No, that's...
Just shut it. I don't need you, Dad.
Since Dad doesn't do anything, don't bother cooking for him. Let's go out. Just the two of us, Mom.
That sounds good. We've been living frugally, but it's nice to eat out once in a while. Let's go.
My husband was mumbling, but suddenly he raises his head and says,
I hate you both.
After saying that, he went up to the bedroom. I'll be very busy with the divorce, the move, and finding a job, but I'm going to work my hardest for my daughter.
And so Marisa ended up getting a divorce from her husband, who hadn't worked in 2 years.
I returned to my parents' house with my daughter and worked hard on my job search while they took care of her for me. I haven't worked since retiring from my old company. I was a single, skillless woman in my 30s, but I was fortunately hired as an office worker at a small local company. Everyone around me is kind, and my daughter seems to be happy. After the divorce, my husband moved to his parents' house. According to my mother-in-law, who came to my house to apologize, my husband has been having trouble finding a job because he's being stubborn. He even said that our daughter grew up to be stubborn, just like her mother. Our in-laws scolded him for saying that, but he still stays at his parents' house and starts talking about job conditions and whatnot while looking at his phone. So it seems that they're planning to kick him out in 1 month. I'll try my best to forget about my ex-husband and work hard to make my daughter happy.